So all I've really done so far is remove the top of the transmission, which holds the shift forks, and remove the tail housing, which if you can't do this portion, maybe this isn't the project for you, but this is a beautifully simple transmission. Aww. That was very, very easy. Well, we just made it out to Tim's shop, Patriot Performance in Williamson, Georgia. We're here to do one thing that everybody skips, one thing that needs to be done when you rebuild a transmission, but not a lot of people have the resources, so everybody skips it, but it could destroy your dog box if you don't do it. You gotta come to a machine shop and get your gears checked for micro cracks. If you don't do this, a tooth can break off. Even though you've just rebuilt your transmission, a tooth could break off and take out everything you've done, all the hard work you've put into making sure it was good to go. If you don't know there's micro cracks in your gears, a tooth could break off and take out all the other gear sets, and now you're in for a world of hurt. So it's really worth it to come out to a machine shop and get it done. We're doing it today at Patriot Performance in Williamson, Georgia. We're gonna MagnaFlex these gears and check for micro cracks. There's no visible cracks in my gears, and they look pretty good for how old they are. This transmission's been in my car for 4 years now. And this is the first time I've taken it apart to rebuild it, and this is a step we are not skipping, but every other tutorial I've found on YouTube, I didn't see this being done. Rick over at RTS has been super helpful with rebuilding this transmission. I've never done this before, so I've been asking him a lot of questions. He's been super helpful, giving good advice, and I originally bought my transmission from him, so if you need a dog box, check out RTS in North Carolina. He's offering upgrades, offering advice about what to do and when to do it and why we're doing it and what to check for. Very helpful. I can't suggest RTS enough. All of the colors. We got Tim's savings account here. And he's gonna cash all these in and retire.
Alright, whenever you're looking for cracks in anything that you're MagnaFlexing, you're going to look for the powder to get pulled into whatever crevice it is. So you're always trying to sprinkle. You don't need too much powder. Then when you look at this, you don't see it didn't pull into any cracks. So what you're going to want to really look for is in the base of peaks. At all these different gear points, that's where you're going to start to see it shear, and you'll see little hairlines. You'll see something that your eye can't catch. A lot of times you'll see it's something that you didn't see with your naked eye, and it gets sucked down into there. It's a lot easier to see with cast. Something that's cast. These guys are a little more difficult. So the caveat or the trick to that is to make sure they're really, really, really clean, because if you have any oil, any debris, any water, any liquid, it'll stick in those crevices and it can appear to be a crack. So now that we're getting the Cheeto dust off of this one, we'll flip it over and do the other side. See how that dust pulled into all those little crevices for the part numbers? You know, we could barely see those before, but now that as soon as you MagnaFlex it, put the powder on it, it's sucked down in all those little divots you could barely see before. And the MagnaFlex never lies. We found ourselves a crack right at the bottom of that, right at the bottom of the tooth, just like we said.
We're back in the garage. finally putting this transmission back together. We got the new dog rings and sliders. We got new seals. We got new gasket material. We got new gears. Whoop. We got new gears in this box. All from Rick at RTS. Super fast shipping because he's in North Carolina, so it took like 1 day, honestly. But yeah, we're going to try to put this thing back together. I'm going to spend some time trying to figure out how to put this center cartridge back together, and then I'll give you guys an update once I have it together. If I time-lapse this part, it's going to be me putting it together and taking it apart a bunch of times because I forgot something, looking at my phone, then putting it back together, so maybe I'll just give you guys the update when it does go back together and let you know how easy it was. Okay, so I got the whole kind of gear portion of the transmission back together. I wouldn't say it was difficult, but you have to be very careful about how it goes together. There's lots of kind of like washers and shims and gears that have to go in the right place. And if you get it wrong, it won't work, and it can go together different ways. But it can only go together one way and work. So yeah, there's my kind of gear portion all put together. And like I said, there's lots of kind of nuances to it, but it's not hard. Now we got to put it in this case. I got to clean up this case first, so I'm going to replace this orange O-ring on the top. I'm going to replace the input and output seals, and then I'll have to clean the outside of this. But yeah, now I just got to put that into here. Okay, so finally the transmission's all back together. There's tons of tutorials on YouTube. In fact, there's one really good one that I'll either try to put in the video right here or link it in the comments below. But overall, not so bad. There were a couple specialty tools that I had to buy, things I didn't have or that just didn't work. So for instance, I had to buy kind of like these really strong snap ring pliers. And they're cheap from, I got these at O'Reilly's, but just kind of stronger than the normal snap ring pliers because the normal snap ring pliers that you kind of like bolt these things onto. First of all, these are the wrong ones. They should open when you squeeze them, not close them, since these are outside snap rings, not inside snap rings. But these they just bend. They just move or bend and they don't work. So don't bother with these. Go to O'Reilly's and get a pair of like kind of those stronger snap ring pliers. I think they were like 15 bucks, maybe even less, these guys. And I also didn't have the right size safety wire. So I did have to order this. I got it off Amazon. I had safety wire, but it was 0.040 or 041 or something. This is 0.025. So the bigger safety wire doesn't fit in the nuts that you have to safety wire. So, or bolt heads, I guess, the bolt heads that you have to safety wire. So I had to buy that. So just make sure you have those things before you start. You also need some small American combination wrenches and things like that. But overall, I did it myself. I got everything sorted. I'm glad that I did it myself, and now I know how it works better. I did have some understanding of how these dog boxes work, but not a good understanding, and now I can take them apart and put them back together. I could essentially, if I really had to, fix something at the track. I hopefully don't ever have to do that because that would involve pulling the transmission out. Actually, rebuilding the transmission, not that hard. Having the parts you need to rebuild it, pretty difficult because they don't get any cheaper when you buy them individually, I'll tell you that. Let's take a look at all the things I replaced. So, first and foremost, the cracked gear. Yeah, cracked gear had to be replaced. This was the 1.2 ratio gear set. One little crack in this gear caused me to replace the gear set. So that gear now replaced. I replaced the input and output shaft seals. Let's get in focus. This washer, this is actually a shim, but it had some strange wear on it. You can see from the bearing there, something must have gone through it. But I replaced that due to that wear on the shim. This goes on the kind of the front of the main shaft on the end of the input shaft seal. Or I'm sorry, this goes on the front of the main shaft near the input shaft. Yeah, there's just a flat bearing there and I had to replace that. But what actually caused the rebuild is this. I replaced the input This is the input shaft pocket bearing. I replaced that. That was a recommendation by Rick. But what actually caused the rebuild were these. These are the dog rings for third and fourth gear and the slider that goes between them. And if you look at the corners of these, you get the focus, there we go. They are toast. I mean, really toast. This is purely from shifting like a little bitch. Either my wheel speed was so high I couldn't slam it into gear hard enough, or I was taking it too easy when I shifted, but that's what causes this. That one was the fourth gear face, this is the third gear face. Third gear is not so bad, this would have been from downshifting. You can see a couple corners are toast. And then the slider that goes between them, so this is what the shifter actually moves to engage the dog rings. And yeah, also corners are toast. These basically have a backwards angle so that the slider and the gear ring lock together when you shift. And if you don't slam them into each other, they break like this. So yeah, with that project completed, this video is not meant to be a tutorial about how to do this. It's just meant to show you that if I can do it, you can do it. It wasn't that hard. If you're very uncomfortable and you can't keep things in order, then definitely send it out to Rick at RTS. Have him do it. He's the professional. He'll do it correctly. If you are willing to learn, make a mistake, and potentially break your $10,000 transmission, go ahead and do it yourself. You learn a lot. It's actually kind of a fun project. I enjoyed doing it. And there's plenty of tutorials online. One in particular, very good one that I followed along with the exploded diagram on G-Force's website for the GSR. With those two resources, you can take apart any part of this and put it back together. In fact, you could probably mix it all up and put it back together. Very good resources if you're going to do this yourself. So again, I'll link that in the comments or in this video somewhere. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I'm going to be trying to make more videos, get back on pace here for the rest of the season. So see you then.